first question, how do you know if someone wants to have sex with you? I'm going there. I'm just going there.
Well,
Body language, words, I mean, flirting all night.
I'm not sure. I can't say I've been in too many of those situations, so.
The flirty touch.
The light touch.
yeah, the touching.
The lean in.
She's really friendly, you know?
Wow.
It's like they start to maybe be touchy here, and then they go here, and then they start to maybe try to grab your hip.
The arm around.
Yeah, a little creepy arm.
The eyes.
She's very smiley.
Oh, that's weird.
I have no answer for that. I have no idea.
Sometimes, you know, you get the eye contact going on, so I don't want to have sex with you right now.
He was worried. It's important.
She lets her hair out and she's, you know, running her hands through it, and her pupils are low.
And I think it's just kind of assumed that the woman is okay with it if she's gotten to the point where she's undressed.
I mean, there's so many different ways. Each person's different, whether it's touching or a comment.
There's many different stages between I'm gonna buy you a drink to we're gonna have sex somewhere.
It's just one of them.
There's like many different.
So it's just one of them
iterations.
points where it's just like, oh, you know that you're going back to the.
I don't
But
even
you could
think
still screw it up, you
Yeah,
know?
right.
Like,
It's
you
not
can always
like-
kind of have a breaking point in it.
Yeah, literally.
After you get to the.
Yeah, you could be at their place even.
Did that answer your question?
Hookup. Define hookup.
Hookup? Hookup. Hooking up.
Oh, you hooked up?
Hookup generation.
Testosterone and hormones.
Oh my God, you never guess who I hooked up with.
Hookup, yeah.
Hook up, hook up.
Hooking up.
Oh, you hooked up with him?
You meet a guy, you have sex with him.
Third base, home plate,
Friends with benefits. People use it in so many different ways.
full blown all out.
Some people, they think it means, you know, hooking up means like a one-night stand.
You have a sex buddy.
Home run out into the outfield.
For other people, it's just making out.
I thought hookup meant kiss.
You went all the way is what they call it.
It's an easy thing. You sleep with someone with regret or without, and you move on.
I would say that most of the time, as adults, when we say hook up, we're talking about sex.
What really set my expectations were romance novels and movies.
TV, friends, older siblings.
My parents.
Churches on Sundays.
Like you think it's like peer pressure?
Peer to peer. It's huge.
Everybody else is doing it.
Friday night, let's go to the club and meet some pretty girls.
The parties are going on 24/7.
A lot of the media is growing now.
Media, commercials,
Movies,
Porn.
Reality TV.
Social media.
Facebook.
The divorce rates are higher than ever.
rap songs.
There's so many shows that just show drinking and partying, and it looks so great.
Sometimes the more you drink, and then the more you drink, the more you socialize.
Who cares? Like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna have fun, it's gonna happen. Like, if it happens, it happens.
Who's pregnant, who's sleeping with who.
This is what they need to have. This is what they need to want. This is what, if you don't have it, you gotta find it.
Booty, 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 and
Sex, 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 sex. That's what I honestly think.
It's just there, and people get wrapped up in it.
For men, it's like a game. It's like the more you sleep with, the better of a man you are. The more of a man you are, because you can get a lot of girls.
You'll be ridiculed if you only had like that one girlfriend that you slept with.
I am still a virgin.
I am still a virgin.
I am too.
I got shit for it.
It's always pressure to prove how manly you are, or you know how smooth you are.
It's what's expected of them, you know.
You certainly don't ever see media of any sort saying the guy should wait.
it's funny when a man does it, but a lot of times it's looked down when a girl does it.
Women who sleep around, being called sluts and whores and any other thing you can think of under the sun, and being looked down upon for sleeping around casually.
Yes, you're a slut.
Men are being rewarded and getting high fives for, hey, did you bang that chick last night?
And if you're not sleeping around, you're a prude.
Yep.
So you're either a slut or a prude. So you really don't win in this game.
It's not realistic that that's the only thing out there, but it's what people are interested in.
I think the media is what influenced society, to be honest.
mean, as bad as that sounds, it's true. That's the way the media pushes it on us.
Yeah, because media is really focused on making people promiscuous for some reason.
That's like saying video games is causing people to kill people.
Technology has a lot to do with your perception of life and the way people act and behave.
I think maybe people are afraid to approach people in person, that you just have that shield of safety of the internet, and you can kind of hide behind your keyboard versus being rejected in person.
It's instant connection with anybody on the planet, and I think we haven't caught up to that yet. Like as a society, we've got all these really cool toys, but we don't know how to use them properly yet. Yeah. And because of that, we've got all these weird social things that we haven't figured out. And communication, we have the means to communicate, but we haven't figured out how to do it effectively yet.
You can't get away from sexual innuendos in songs. You can't get away from certain images on the internet. It's gonna be in your face. You can't just not talk about it and expect somebody to understand how to handle it when it comes at them. It's like putting a kid in a bubble and then throwing him out into the world and expecting him to be okay. So I think society is gonna have to adapt, whether they want to or not. I think they're just scared right now. A lot of people don't get into serious relationships a whole lot anymore because they don't have to. People aren't expected to get married right off the bat anymore. They take their time. They don't want to have kids right away.
Some of my friends will say that, well, I don't want a relationship. I just want to find somebody to have fun with, and then I don't have to, well, why not date? Nah, because that's looking for marriage, and I don't want to do that yet. Or maybe I'm never getting married.
I know a lot of them wish they were married. I hear that all the time, that they're gonna be single forever, but they haven't settled on the wrong person.
I don't think a lot of us know or have felt that inner love type thing. It's more of lust because of what we're dealing with now today in the world and in society.
I think they're looking for a relationship, but they don't know how to, so they go with sex.
The advantages of a long-term relationship, not even it's not long-term, a solid, sound relationship. You always have the companionship. It's not something that you have to feel bad about.
Both people are actually putting effort into the relationship and going out and doing things.
Something a lot of people will, look to you and be like, hey man, you're really lucky. I'm glad you have what you have, good for you.
There's talking, there's communication, there's an actual feeling for each other. You actually want to make this last.
And so hooking up, to me, isn't really hooking up, it's having consensual sex with somebody. And a relationship is dedicating yourself to somebody for long term.
Casual sex, you have to be careful, safety reasons. But if you're having fun in a party or with a friend, and hey, for the night, it just happens. It's okay, but also I think a lot more consequences come with it.
When it comes to sex, there's always consequences.
There are going to be consequences. It could ruin a friendship.
Someone has sex with someone takes it for more than it is. Someone gets angry.
Because, one person might develop feelings for that other person.
Hey, this girl was really cool, maybe we could have had something, but last night I messed it up doing whatever I did.
It could make things at work awkward if you sleep with someone you work with.
You see this person around a lot, you're gonna have to deal with that awkward feeling, passing them in the hall or, walking by them in the dorms.
They don't go into it thinking, what's my expectation in this? They just go into it kind of blind and just kind of doing whatever feels good and whatever's fun with no expectations or really thinking about consequences.
You have that friend every now and then that'll wake up and text you like, man, can you come pick me up? Like, you'll never guess. And I was like, I don't think I want to know. So yeah, you see it happen. It's unfortunate, but yes.
So if you want to have sex, go ahead, but you need to know every single thing that happens because of it. Now, once you know all that stuff, then you can make that decision, and then you can really think, do I really want sex right now? Because we can't.
I'm not going to tell them when to make that choice, I'm just going to tell them, you know, here are the consequences. If you want to go ahead and take that risk, like you said, go ahead and take it.
Consequences. Well, I would think it was kind of obvious, especially for women. You could get pregnant. Every time I do have sex with somebody, I know I'm using protection and I know we're doing the right thing, but it's always on my mind. What if I get pregnant? What's gonna happen to my career? What's gonna happen to college? What happens if it just changes my whole life path? I don't have a choice anymore at that point. It's been taken from me. So consequences are life-altering for choosing to have sex and not being able to be responsible about it.
Drinks on the house when I'm high, nothing stopping me now.
I think people use alcohol and even drugs as, you know, liquid courage.
When you're drinking, your inhibitions are lowered. Yes, that is true. And you're thinking sluggish. You think, hey, maybe this is a good idea. I mean, like, come on, I'm just having fun.
I think it makes it a lot more probably easy, makes people more comfortable.
Yeah, you're feeling so good and you're feeling like a rock star that maybe you have more courage than you.
More guts.
Yeah, more guts to approach someone than normal.
You just don't care.
Yeah, you just don't care. You just drink to the point where you don't care if you look like a fool and you go for it.
Alcohol is probably used as a tool to try and get someone to, you know, like go towards that situation. And, you know, a lot of times it does happen. And the night after, it's like the other person could be like, why did I just do that? Like, that's not me.
This is a weird way to put it. Acceptable, like, accident, maybe?
It can be, without a doubt. It can be, and it can make you do things you don't want to do. But it can be okay. If you go on a date and you have a glass of wine or two, and the other person has a beer or not, or has whatever their drink is that terrible? Or you're not going to drink on a date? You're over 21, you're allowed to drink.
But if you're a brand new young airman, 18, 19, 20, because, you know, some of them do underage drink, even if you're just 21, you don't know how to handle yourself. You don't know how that alcohol affects you and affects your brain. And it's easy to put yourself into a situation with someone that you think you can trust or, you know, but really they're drunk too.
I don't really care what you think. I just wanna have another drink.
There was one time where I went to a party and I didn't know a whole lot of people. I had never met this person before, but I got so drunk and I went home with him. He drove me all the way to his house. And nothing sexual happened that night. Thankfully, I slept on his bed, he slept on a beanbag in his living room because I told him I wasn't comfortable, while I was drunk, I told him I wasn't comfortable having sex while I'm drunk because I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't have any friends or anybody to call. It could have ended up really bad.
Some guys may feel deserving that, you know, I deserve for her to go home with me tonight.
Some guys just like, okay, well, she didn't say no, so I'll just move up closer.
Some guys have drunk goggles on at these parties. You know, that clouds their judgment a lot.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Everybody has that friend that, you know, either they've had too much to drink or that's just who they are. You know, if they're funny about it or they crack jokes, you don't really think much of it, like, oh, that's just Steve or that's just whoever. You know, they are who they are. Like, they don't mean any harm.
And he might not even realize he's being a
Exactly,
He might
exactly.
be 8 drinks in and think he's got the moves of, you know,
Exactly.
freaking Casanova.
Exactly. So
and
it comes-
he's actually just that awkward dude in the corner who's like creepily drinking, you know, as he stares at a girl.
Exactly.
You know, he
And-
might not know.
And next thing you know, you realize, you know, if something big happens, like, wow, you look back, like, those little jokes and those little, like, you know, butt grabbing and everything else that he does or she does, it's like maybe he actually does push things more than what they should. And a lot of it's, you know, fun and games. You laugh, you make jokes and whatnot, and that's life. But a lot of times there's more to the picture than what you perceive.
If you got a friend that's being a creep,
Yeah.
tell him he's being a creep. Go up to him, and even if he hates you the next day and never talks to you again, at least you know that girl's not going to get raped or your buddy's not going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Either way, good stuff is happening. If you're being a good friend, in the moment he might hate your guts because
Yeah.
he thinks, you know, you're screwing up whatever he's
But if
got
he's a
going.
good friend.
But the next day he'll be like,
Yeah.
you're right.
You can really kind of deter the situation. If you're in the right state of mind, you can deter the situation if you're around it.
And that's kind of what being a wingman is too. That's, you raised your right hand and said you'd be a wingman, so be a wingman. Don't just watch them go down in flames.
Even if I wasn't in the Air Force, I'm still a wingman to my best friend back home, like
Well,
even before I
absolutely.
was.
My girlfriend, sometimes she wants and I'm like, I really hate it. And I go up to her beforehand and I make sure that she's really into this.
I've been in situations where he's like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And at that point, what can you do?
And I'm like, okay, but I'm right here and I watch her. And it sucks to be her babysitter out there, but I love her to death, so I'll do it. But sometimes I know she's uncomfortable, she doesn't want this, I'm stepping in. And whether I have to be the giddy, happy, drunken lesbian friend or the big, mean, scary ghetto person that has to come up here and I'll cut you if you don't back off my girl, you know, whatever I have to do. And sometimes I have to bring in my guy friends.
When you make the decision to drink, you have to know that that's going to happen, and you have to be in a safe environment. You have to be with people you trust, because you could easily make bad decisions and not even know you're doing it at the time.
I was too drunk to remember if I said yes or no.
We were both drunk, so what do?
If you can't remember that far back, you have to think of if you gave consent. But if you can't remember, then who's to say?
Did she say yes? I don't remember. Problem.
Well, she was drinking, he was drinking. She didn't say no, you know,
But she regrets
but
it,
she
yeah.
didn't say yes, and now she regrets it.
I think if you're embarrassed by what you did, you're easily going to blame it on the other person.
Okay, there's probably some that are true, and then there's some that the girl was like, or the guy was like, uh-oh, whoops, I wasn't supposed to do that, or they were like, really regretted it.
Girls don't want to get that image of being a slut or and sleeping around with every other guy.
They were afraid to get in trouble and lose their career, so they go, oh, uh-oh, it was rape.
That's their cop-out. And I'm not saying that's for every case. I'm sure there's cases where it happened. I don't know, I wasn't there.
If you still put off the behaviors, I mean, how can someone know that that's not what you're going to want when you're sober? They can't. They can't. You have to be able to not put yourself in that situation if you're going to do that when you're drinking, knowing you're going to wake up and regret it, because the other person can't know that about you. They can't know that you're going to wake up and regret it.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault. And because of that, I think a lot of people, like I said, aren't taking personal responsibility for their actions, which is pretty much the most important thing. Like you have to own it. Like if you screw up, you screw up. But I think that would solve a lot of it, is if you just had personal responsibility for it. And if that means you can't drink, then that means you can't drink.
Coming out of the B&T environment, it's been so strict. You've been so just like having to follow these orders.
Then you go to tech school, and next thing you know, it's all these people that you've never met before, and you're trying to, you know, get to know everybody.
It's their first time outside of home. It's their first time not living under your parents' roof. You have your own roof. There's no one all the time constantly like, where are you going? Send me a text when you're gonna come home.
And so you really see that sexual frustration that a lot of people have, and they're just willing to just go buck wild and do what they want. And you know, that's why you see a lot of tech school babies.
And they just go crazy. People that normally wouldn't have these, like, you know, drunken parties, they just go crazy because they've been on such a strict schedule and haven't had any freedom.
I feel like a lot of times people kind of forget what they learned in basic. They forget that respect. They start getting too comfortable with where they're at or who they're around.
The truth that rape happens often, specifically in tech school, that rape happens often. We had cases of people being drugged every other weekend.
Actually, there were several incidents of people in my dorm who were accused of rape. A lot of them are still under investigation.
We had bodies out by the trash cans that were just left naked. I mean, it was right outside your dorm room. I mean, it was real. And if we would have known that, then we would have always been more careful. I know I would have. I would have never left that dorm room alone. And it's scary, but I think we need a reality check.
They start a fire inside of me, like one that I've never known. It makes me extremely angry at parts of humanity that think that's okay, because it's not. My younger sister's joining the Army, and if somebody were to do that to her while I wasn't around to protect her, I don't know what I'd do. I feel like I explode inside. People serve with me. They sign on for this job. Why would you hurt somebody that wants to protect so many people? Why would you hurt somebody that wants to protect you or is supposed to cover your back in the middle of battle? I don't understand. And it makes me angry that they don't understand or see that.
Honestly, that's probably life's greatest question, is how to get along with the opposite sex, because we all don't know.
When it comes to, you know, relationships, you really have to think about what you're doing. You can't just go be wild and just say, this feels good, this is fun, let's do it over and over. You have to really think, is this good for me? Am I hurting someone else? Later, am I going to regret this? I just have always believed that you really have to think about what you're doing and make sure it's good for you.
If you're willing to take your clothes off with somebody, you should be able to talk about it. You should be able to talk about whether or not you want to have sex.
And not in a negative way. I think talking about it with your friends, talking about it with your parents, your sisters, your brothers, people at a coffee shop, just talking about it like it's a daily part of life.
Let's do this.
I want you.
Yeah.
I want to have sex.
Yeah.
It's all about communication, and if you're not clear about stuff, there's that gray area where people get in trouble.
Have we considered the thought of getting the yes before pursuing the girl?
I think of, like, the first image in my head is some girl that's in bed and some guy, and he's totally confused as to what to do. He's like, does she want me to do this? Should I do this? What am I supposed to do first?
Hey, I want to have sex. You know, like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And then the girl just seems so into it, and you're so nervous and scared as a guy because girls are sometimes intimidating that you don't want to ask if it's okay.
Hey, you sure you want to do this?
I've never really been into the situation where just a one-night stand or fling thing. I've always been in relationships.
Hey, do you want to have sex?
Where you always have the, oh, hey, are you up for it tonight? Or,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
no.
He's saying he's a better person than you.
That's kind of the whole situation that I see. Don't guess, get a yes. A nervous guy trying to figure out how to ask.
Don't guess, get a yes. Okay, I'll start saying it.
That's complete consent. Complete consent.
Don't guess.
Don't guess that she's saying yes.
Okay, I'm
or
thinking.
don't guess.
I'm thinking
saying maybe.
that
So does this mean yes, or does that mean yes? Because you're going to do this thing, and I'm like, only yes means yes.
You need to obtain a verbal yes. That's what, you know.
don't try to read the other person's mind. You know, actually get that yes through and make sure that they're actually consenting to be with you.
We also need to know what we want.
Like if she wants it, tell me.
Yeah.
Because that will make this go a lot easier. You know?
Communicate. Communicate. Assumption makes an ass of people.
Makes an ass of
people. You never heard that term?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yep. Soon make an ass of yourself.
I didn't understand that until like a year.
Wow!
It's the culture of people and the way people behave and act. And a culture is extremely hard to change. But I think the more people talk, the more it's gonna change. So that's what's important, is to not hide behind things.
I feel like respect's a big thing. In order for you to have respect and care for another person, you have to respect and care for yourself.
Like, I just wish I could just be like, hey, you're important. Why do you want the apple that's at the bottom of the tree and been kicked around and bruised? I want the apple at the top of the tree that's juicy red and special because it's been sitting there for a while.
There's value in a sexual relationship. It's not something to be just given away whenever you feel like it.
It's also up to a girl to respect him at the same time. If you show him enough respect, he'll understand what kind of person you are.
You know, you have to respect women. You have to respect them. And if you respect them, they're gonna like you. Because there's tons of guys out there and all of you want the same thing. Even you still wanna have sex. Any guy that tells you that he doesn't want sex is more than likely lying.
Yeah.
He does want sex. That doesn't mean that's not all he wants.
Yeah.
But you have to be honest.
Set the standard for not only your career, but for yourself. And be that juicy apple at the top of the tree that people, they want to be like and they want to be around.